You bought a home. You did everything right. You saved for years. You got approved. You signed the papers. You handed over a check that took a decade to build. And then quietly, without anyone explaining it to you at the closing table, a second authority moved into your life. They didn't knock. They were already there. And every single month, they reach into your pocket. Maybe you didn't even notice at first. The first letter was almost funny. Your trash can was left out 2 hours past the allowed window. Then came the notice that the shade of white on your window trim wasn't the approved shade of white. Suddenly you're checking your mailbox with the exact same low-grade anxiety you used to feel when your landlord would show up unannounced. You thought buying a home meant no more of that. You were wrong. You didn't buy freedom. You bought yourself into a localized corporate bureaucracy. Here's what most people don't realize until it's too late. 77 million Americans currently live under HOA governance. That's 1 in 3 homes in this country. In 1970, there were roughly 10,000 HOAs across the entire United States. Today, there are nearly 370,000, and that number grows by about 14 new associations every single day. 67% of all newly built homes are now automatically placed inside an HOA, up from 49% just over a decade ago. This is no longer a niche arrangement. This is the default setting for American homeownership. And if someone had told you before you signed that a private organization would have the legal authority to place a lien on your property, garnish your wages, damage your credit score, and in some states, foreclose on your house, all without going through a bank, would you still have signed? Most people would pause, because most people don't know that's even possible. But it is, and it's happening right now. Trap 1. The fee you see is not the fee you pay. Let's start with the money, because this is where most people get blindsided first. The average HOA fee nationwide is $243 a month, nearly $3,000 a year, on top of your mortgage, your insurance, and your property taxes. Just to live in your own home and follow someone else's rules. Your brain anchors to that number, you budget for it, you accept it as a fixed cost of doing business. But HOA fees are not fixed. They are completely immune to your personal budget. 71% of HOA boards planned fee increases in 2024. 19% planned hikes of more than 10%, and they don't need your vote to do it. Then there are special assessments. When the community pool equipment fails, when the roof on the clubhouse needs replacing, when the reserve fund runs short, that bill lands in your mailbox. Some homeowners in Florida have received special assessments exceeding $100,000 per unit. Not because they did anything wrong, because the math didn't add up at the board level. That's your problem now. And you cannot opt out. Behavioral economists call what happens next payment habituation. Your brain stops registering a recurring cost as a real cost. It fades into the background. You stop questioning whether it's worth it. The HOA counts on exactly that, because the fee structure is designed to feel normal right up until it isn't. Trap 2. The rules are a financial weapon. Here's the mistake almost everyone makes. They look at the rules list before they buy lawn standards, paint color approvals, parking restrictions, and think, manageable, I can handle that. What they underestimate is how fast those rules become a financial weapon. A homeowner in Georgia started receiving fines over weeds in his front yard. He hired a professional lawn service. The fines kept coming anyway. The HOA began garnishing his paycheck. By the time he filed for bankruptcy to make it stop, he owed $36,000, primarily over his front yard. Another homeowner mailed her HOA dues faithfully every month to the address she was given at closing. The checks were cashed inconsistently. Months went by. Then she was served with foreclosure papers. With late fees and attorney fees stacked on top, she owed more than $30,000 for dues she had already paid. Think about that for a second. The original debt in most HOA foreclosure cases is under $3,000. Bank foreclosures typically involve debts of $190,000 or more. HOA foreclosures have been triggered by debts averaging just $2,500, $2,500, and the home is gone. This is not a collection of rare horror stories. This is a structural feature of a system with very little external oversight and very powerful legal tools. And the cruelest part? When you challenge a fine in writing, you've just triggered attorney fees. Every letter, every dispute, every attempt to push back becomes a line item billed directly back to you. You are quite literally funding your own opposition. Trap 3. What it does to your mind. The fees and the fines aren't even the deepest part of this. There's a concept in psychology called locus of control, the degree to which you believe you have agency over your own life. You can't paint your front door without submitting an application. You can't park your own work truck in your own driveway. You can't plant a vegetable garden without board approval in some communities. And psychologists studying what happens when your choices are repeatedly overridden find that this kind of chronic low-level restriction creates a very specific kind of stress. It doesn't announce itself loudly. It settles in quietly. It shows up as the dread of opening the mail, the low-grade tension of wondering whether your holiday decorations comply this year, the feeling that you own the mortgage but not the experience of the home. Home is supposed to be the one place on earth where you drop your mask and just exist. Instead, it becomes a stage where you are constantly performing for an invisible audience. And here is what makes it financially dangerous. Research consistently shows that people who feel low control over their environment make shorter-term financial decisions. They save less, they spend more impulsively. They stop feeling like planning for the future pays off. The environment shapes the behavior, and an environment where a volunteer board can rewrite the rules and send you a fine at any moment quietly erodes the financial confidence you need to build real wealth. Trap 4. Why people stay. If everything you just heard is true about your community, would you leave? Most people won't. And understanding why is one of the most important things behavioral economics has ever revealed. It's called the sunk cost fallacy. Once you've invested a down payment, years of mortgage payments, emotional attachment, proximity to your children's school and your neighborhood, the psychological cost of leaving feels greater than the financial cost of staying. Even when the math no longer makes sense, even when the fees keep climbing, even when a new special assessment hits and you absorb it, because what's the alternative? The trap isn't just financial, it's psychological, and it compounds every single year. Now here is something most HOA critics never tell you. Everything described here, the fee creep, the fine traps, the psychological drain becomes dramatically less dangerous when you have one thing: liquidity. Real, accessible savings. When you have financial reserves, a surprise special assessment doesn't destroy you. A disputed fine doesn't push you toward bankruptcy. You can choose to fight. You can choose to leave. You choose from clarity, not from fear. The HOA trap is specifically most dangerous to those with the least financial flexibility. When you live close to the edge, every fine is a crisis. When you build a buffer, a fine becomes a nuisance. The goal is not to never live in an HOA. The goal is to never be financially hostage to one. Read your governing documents before you buy, not after. Attend board meetings. Know who controls your money and how the reserve fund is managed. Build the kind of financial foundation where no monthly bill, no matter who sends it, can take your home from you. Because the American dream was never supposed to be owning a house that someone else controls. You deserve to own your home. Not just the walls, not just the mortgage, the piece of it. If this opened your eyes to something you hadn't seen before, share it with someone who's thinking about buying right now. And subscribe, because this is exactly what we do here. It's not about being perfect with money. It's about being informed enough that no one can ever quietly move into your life and reach into your pocket without you knowing exactly what's happening.